Well, I think the place to start is to go back to the alumni board and our discussions about engaging alumni with what's going on campus. The Pitzer Alumni Visiting Artist Mentor Program fits hand in glove with what the vision of the alumni board for bringing alumni back to campus to connect with current students and to create these opportunities for students to be mentored by Pitzer alumni who are working in a particular profession that students may be interested in and want to learn about.
This program creates these vital links between our alums and our graduating seniors and provides for them, or is able to visualize for them, what a life in the arts might look like.
This is the inaugural year of that program, and my name is Tim Berg, and I taught the senior thesis class that was participating in this program with our alum Daniel Ingroff.
Since 2006, I've been living in Los Angeles and, being an artist. I'm going to talk a little bit about work that I'm making currently and how I got to where I am now.
I think it was really good to start out with having Daniel come and talk about his work as an introduction to the students about what he does and why he's interesting as an artist and what opportunities they could learn from in his approach to art making. As with any visiting artist, I think there's a lot of great opportunities for the students there.
The exciting thing about making artwork is that we pull from all these different areas of our life to make art. You pull from here, you pull from there, and then you have this other thing, A plus B equals Z.
I mean, people have all sorts of different processes and all sorts of different personalities, but I think for me, what's exciting about painting is the sort of surprise of, things clicking into place in a different way than I had expected. And it's funny because my senior project at Pitzer was I feel like I've almost come full circle in that it was a very similar process. I was working with a ton of, I remember I had the little gallery space underneath the dining hall as my studio for a semester.
Oh, okay.
And I was working with a ton of photographs all over the floor and then sort of picking photographs and then constructing drawings from those photographs, which is kind of what I'm doing with my paintings now.
Painting like this is multiple images sort of coming together, multiple planes. But, this is the top image is actually being scraped away so you can see the background. When I make a painting, there's a time element and as in making anything, and there's all this stuff that sort of happens, and there's all this narratives that sort of come out, and this sort of personal story, but also something you can kind of grasp as a viewer.
There's a famous quote about painting, which is paintings are never finished, they're just abandoned. And I think that I kind of agree with that, but I also kind of know you have to kind of know when to stop.
I think with anything that you make, you have this child, right? And it goes out into the world and people have thoughts about it. I think that is a thing that I've chosen to embrace.
That's the great thing also about having a studio where I have studio mates and people walking through my space, because my space is, you have to walk through my space to get to other spaces and to the bathroom, and so I get people and feedback, and I have to be comfortable with that. I think my natural inclination is just shut myself up into a studio and make my work and not engage with the world, and I think it's nice to have this sort of flow.
We visited his studio, so we did a more formal studio visit.
So this is my space. Welcome.
Daniel has gone off, done his MF, and has run various art spaces and has a really thriving artist practice.
I wasn't quite sure where it was going, but I cast the surface.
Oh, okay.
So it's I made a mold and then
poured plaster into it and then pressed the canvas into the mold.
One of the valuable things that this program does for students who are studying art at Pitzer is it gives them contact with somebody in the art world who's engaged with making art and understands how those connections with the art world work.
I think that if I was going to draw anything from looking at James Enzer's work, it would be that like being sort of like a nutty outlier is, you know, sort of key to longevity or something. Or like for people to continue to want to look at your images is to sort of like follow impulses that don't feel like, I mean, because it does, you know, if you look at what other work was being made at that time, it's like no one was making work like that.
Daniel was the studio assistant for Laura Owens, and the Laura Owens retrospective was still up at MoCA, so students got a chance to go through that museum exhibition with Daniel, who had an inside view as to what it was like to work with Laura and to prepare those huge canvases that she's so well known for. We also had a chance to visit a studio and a work-live space of another artist. It really gave students a chance to see the diversity of how artists live, how they work, the kinds of work they do, and it really gave them a sense of what is emerging in Los Angeles.
It was kind of a unique experience for them to have. And then Daniel helped install some of the thesis work once we had the thesis work done and in the gallery.
This is future,
Okay,
and this is past.
that's a painting you're making.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's supposed to be the future, like future dreams.
This one, I want this to be closer to this because I think they're more formal together.
Was really a nice moment where we saw, you know, just what kind of value that this is adding to the student experience.
From the perspective of Pitzer College Art Galleries, the Visiting Artist Alumni Program has been an overwhelming success. The major goals of the galleries is to insert our program, and what I mean by that is our exhibitions, our lectures, our symposiums, and all our education initiatives into the academic program, and to serve as a vibrant co-curricular tool. This program also enables students to become invested in the galleries at an early time or an early point in the semester, as opposed to waiting until the end where they show their final work in the exhibition.
We introduced an alum to our students and vice versa, and now there's the opportunity for relationship building that's very important within any field, to know people who are working in that field and to be able to get in touch with other people working in that field through them, I think is a great resource for the students. And it keeps our alums connected to the college, which I think is also hard and not something every college is particularly good at doing.
But the idea is that this will continue on and we'll have an annual visiting alumni artist.
There are opportunities to improve, opportunities to expand or evolve, and it's important to recognize what can be done differently to improve upon any programming that we do, such as this. I like the idea of the student exhibition being up at the same time as a work by the visiting mentor. So having something representing their artwork up by the president's office, I think is a really nice kind of tangible connection between the two, and an opportunity for the alum to bring their work back to campus after many years of developing their practice. One thing I would consider for the future is maybe having more interaction, having the visiting mentor come out for more critiques or in-progress visits with the students, just to build up the relationship, because I think it's really important with critiquing. You need to get to know a student in order to really see where they're headed or what their concerns are, because sometimes what they tell you and what they're actually doing are kind of two different things. And so you need to be a little bit of a detective, and you can do that better and more the more contact you have. Really, it's the students that are meant to be building their kind of independent projects and thesis work. So I think it's better, and something they commented on is wanting to have more people coming in and talking to them about their ideas and their practice and what materials they're using and how they're using them and the processes that they're using. And I think the more kind of fresh, alternate viewpoints they get, the better. If programs like this are going to have a life, they need to have funding, and they need support from generous donors, family members, friends of the college, who will invest in the future of our students, which is to also invest in our alumni, and to allow the alumni to come back and share their knowledge and experience with our students in meaningful ways. And I think this is one way that we can really do that.